Hello everyone. This afternoon I'm going to talk to you about a very, very important range for children. It's rather special and it is called Special Care. There are 7 formulas in the Special Care range, and each of them has a very, very powerful ability to support all our little children, not just special needs children, but all the children in the world. The mission statement of Phytobiophysics is to bring affordable healthcare to the children of the world. And this is something that I've always been incredibly mindful about, how important it is to look after our children and to be able to care for them and make sure that they're safe and well. There isn't any doubt that in modern society, we are faced with some very serious issues with our children. And sadly, we watch our children struggling and suffering with all sorts of strange health conditions and lack of vibrancy, and actually the level of special needs in the world is going up and up and up. And it appears that it coincides very greatly with the complications and problems with airborne pollution and changes in the world, changes in the atmosphere. Too many chemicals, too many petrochemicals, possibly too many medical chemicals in a little child's life, and it's actually very confusing. The wonderful thing about working with plants is that they are extraordinarily gentle and yet extremely powerful. Our Special Care range is based on some very complex principles, balancing pathways. And the program is based on 7 formulas that can be used to support the child throughout their early years, really healing and supporting the little ones from the very, very moment of conception. It is our belief that we are spiritual beings and that children come into the world in a most magnificent way. The first extraordinary spark of life, the first extraordinary breath of life is the moment of conception. And from that moment of that little individual, each one of us coming into the world, is absolutely fascinating, because that moment represents, from an acupuncture point, an acupuncture point called lung 1, and it's centered right in the lung meridian, which is the meridian that comes up through the arm and absolutely ends as lung 1, and this little point here. Now, interestingly enough, for all our practitioners who studied the heart clock theory and understand the heart clock map, this is absolutely the moment of our lives, and it's absolutely fascinating that if there are problems with this moment of conception, that this can actually have very serious implications throughout a little child's life. So this extraordinary, exquisite moment in our lives is protected by one of our most important Special Care formulas, and it's called Special Care 1, Olive Love. The olive tree is fascinating. It has extraordinary power. Many people who live in areas in Europe where olive trees grow have known for centuries how important the olive is, olive oil, for example. But it's much more complex than that, because the olive tree has very powerful healing powers. Point of conception is an extremely fascinating point, because this is when the ancestral healing occurs from both male and female to produce this new baby. And this point is the beginning of a baby's development, and many things can go wrong. To protect a mother during this period is of complete vital importance. And we do use olive love not just to support our own lives, but also to support our babies as well throughout this period. So mothers can take olive love right the way through their pregnancy. We've actually discovered that the terrible abuse of a young mother from the environment, from her lifestyles, her emotions, can have a huge impact on the healthy development of a newborn baby. Sorry, not a newborn baby, a developing baby. But we've also understood that there are some grave dangers involved with scanning. Now, scans have become very, very popular in modern society. But the real truth is that there is massive research to point to the fact that scanning a baby in the uterus is causing defects and disturbances. And we also have another aspect that we do have to consider very strongly, and that is that a newborn baby is brought into the world through many, many procedures. Unfortunately, natural childbirth hardly exists at all now. Many of the procedures that are being used to treat babies when they're first born are quite aggressive. There's epidural, for example, anesthesia, painkillers, many, many procedures. And often also there is this procedure called vaginal birth. It's a procedure where instead the baby is brought into the world through operation. And again, these procedures do have an impact on a newborn baby. So we have to think about the healing that goes right back to this particular time in a baby's life. And this is why Olive Love is so very important, very, very powerful, because it does work on this level of healing. And again, there is a very key word which is linked with healing and what Olive Love is capable of doing, and that is a real tragedy of a sense of rejection. Now, you might laugh at me, but if you take a baby away from their mother when they're first born and put them into an incubator, because a mother has had the baby by cesarean section, she will have been drugged. She's not particularly with it because of the effects of the operation. And babies are often taken away from their mothers and put into an incubator. And that sense of being removed and taken away from their mother's heartbeat is extremely dangerous. So Olive Love has some very powerful role to play to support the breathing of a newborn baby. The first moment of breath on a physical level is when the umbilical cord is cut and the baby no longer gets oxygen from the mother's blood, but has to get oxygen from the air. So that first gasp of new breath and the first moment when the lungs are implicated in maintaining life is of vital, vital importance. And Olive Love is supportive of this. So if there have been any difficulties at all with that first moment of life, this is the formula that is very, very important to be used. Now, when I originally was inspired to work on special needs children, it didn't occur to me that when I started testing all of it, or adults, every single person, that every single person seemed to need one of the special care formulas. And recently, we've been looking at some very serious complications with airborne viruses, which are affecting every single one of us, and the crisis of COVID-19. And it's very intriguing that the formula that is being needed and is being used is in fact the most popular formula, one of the most popular formulas to support us all in this time of viral crisis is actually our formula Special Care, Olive Love. You have to remember that we were all children once. So although these formulas were inspired by children, they are actually supportive of every single one of us, regardless of what age we are.